Hello, my amazing people out there who I love. Right, but last year, a couple of months ago, I did a video about to do with the 30-year history of this incident. Right, this is going to be part 2 video. And if I can recap, I did mention about when we were kids growing up around in Dovecotes, where we lived in Blainfield, number 8. And it was obviously to do with my attacker, David Millington. And yes, he was racially, verbally abusive towards us and my younger brothers, and sisters were quite kind that day. Were offended by it. But anyway, yeah. So as time went by, we saw less of him, and we were doing our own things. I was into my breakdancing, heavily into the 80s. I was well known for my head spin around the country, which I didn't know at the time. And my younger brothers were getting into their football. My brother Wayne, what was he doing? He was doing like snooker and stuff like that. Nettie, she was doing her athletics. Marcia, what was she into? She was like into with her friends a lot. And Stuart, he was doing his stuff, moving here, moving there, going out and about and what have you. But eventually he did leave home. He was one of the first ones to leave home, Stuart was. But our family life was beautiful. We had, oh gosh, it was just an amazing family upbringing. Being one of the first multiracial families in Wolverhampton. We weren't the first, but we were one of the first. We're like with the next generation from the 60s. But yeah, I started doing security from when I was about 20. I got into doing security because being a martial artist, all my life, well, since the mid-70s, the Bruce Lee time. And I started working, my very first security officer's job, I worked at the Crypt Association down Temple Street. And I was looking after the premises, things like that. When they had certain meetings about sensitive subjects between family groups, we were there just to keep an eye, just to keep the peace if it got a bit aggravated and things like that. I did that for a couple of years, and a job came up at Safeway. Because prior to doing security, I did work nights at Safeway when it first opened up, within its first couple of years. And obviously got interested in doing security through people who I knew. And then I also started working in the nightclubs as well. I worked at Ritz's nightclub, which was the old Eve's nightclub on Sharrow Road. Worked there for about 5 years. And then I did some work at some of the wine bars in the town. And I do a bit of pubs now and again. But my security career was good, man. I worked hard, especially when I was working at Safeway. I loved it there. I worked for a company called Leo Security Services. They were the first security firm to get the contract at the Safeway store in Pendeford. And it was brilliant back then when it was old Safeway. The atmosphere of it was brilliant. And then my family were doing their things. They were having their children as well. I didn't start yet. I started a little bit later, in my late 30s, when I had my first child. But I didn't know none of this stuff was going on about this man stalking my family. Didn't know nothing of it was going on. We just carried on. Me working, my brothers and sisters doing their stuff. We were having a good time. Our family was. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed my childhood. And especially working in the security industry, when I was at the Safeway store, when Leo Security lost a contract, I had to go and look for another job. And I did a bit of work with a company called Elite Security, and they did the Aldi stores. I opened up the Aldi store in the Fighting Cocks area of Wolverhampton, and I was there for a couple of years, and Elite Security lost the contract, and then I started to work at the other Elite Security, the other Aldi stores around the West Midlands, and then people was keeping me in tabs about the Pendeford store, so I always asked about how things were there, and they said they were having problems still, even though they had a security firm there, which was Securicor. And you know, I really wanted to go back there to work, so I did manage to get in touch with the Securicor, and I started working back there again, and it was brilliant. You know, it was still Safeway at the time, and you know, I had a radio and everything, which I did. So, but yes, I really enjoyed working there, and I felt very comfortable in my job. I mean, we're dealing with the shoplifters, you know, you can't stop everybody, but I didn't let them walk over me in that job. I had, from my experience, I had needles and that pulled out on me and other kinds of weapons, but I still dealt with it because my martial arts background helped a lot. You could diffuse a situation before it got too serious, and the police support there was brilliant. It really was. But yeah, I dealt with a lot of racism through the job as well, which was part and parcel. You have to accept these things like that, because if you let it get to you, what's the point of you doing that kind of work? And it really, what's the point? So I just dug deep in myself and carried on and did the job professionally, and still keeping on tabs with my family still. They were doing their things, and my nieces and nephews were growing up. Jermaine, he was getting a bigger lad, and Sherelle, she was growing up to a beautiful young lady, and Leona growing up to another beautiful young lady. Chantal as well was growing up. Dale, who was the firstborn nephew, he was growing up to a handsome man. And all the rest of them were the beautiful family we really have got, and everybody who knew my family around Pendeford and Wolverhampton, they said what a lovely family we've got, and a highly respected and regarded family, because my family, we're people orientated, we love people. I know you can't, how can you put this? Well, I can't really put it that way, because I just love people. Mum and Dad, they were the same, people orientated. And when Dad was a musician as well, he had a lot of connections for the music industry. And very people orientated man. Everybody loved my dad and looked up to my dad. Dad was a very quiet and humble man. And then 1999 wasn't a good year. That's when Dad passed away. It was, I mean, I was there with my brother Stuart, my brother Darren. Mum was there, and Stuart and Darren's partners were there as well at the time of passing. And boy, that was an experience to behold. That really was. That's the thing with life. No one's invincible. Nobody's invincible. But we are from the inside. When this goes, to me, I think our soul goes to a better place. And I've always believed that. And it's because of the higher power, you know, God. God does forgive us all. And He does. He forgives us all. Because we are His children at the end of the day. We are God's children. But yeah, getting back to my family. What a phenomenal family I've got. And it's great coming from a large family as well, because no matter what you've been through yourself or what they've been through, we're always there for each other. And that's true family values. And I could just talk about my family forever. I really could. Because there is so much to talk about my family in a beautiful way. It really is. But yes, this 30-year history. Yeah, I'm completely oblivious to anything else that was going on. I was doing my job. And when Morrison's took over, you know, I was told about Morrison's as a company. And, you know, I had to, I wouldn't say be wary, but be switched on to them. Be a professional at the end of the day, that's it. I can't talk bad of companies and stuff like that. It's just new company, Safeway. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with it. You know, so they made things a lot more comfortable. But yes, I was given some good pointers about Morrison's. Is to have my eyes and my ears and do my job about them. But you know, within the Morrison's company, in the security division, I met some very good friends through there. Befriended obviously the head of the Morrison security division. I was become friends with her. And she was aware of me in my job. She knew that I was a true professional and I did everything by the book. And it was a thoroughly enjoyed career. You know, but now I am the way I am with it now. It's a career that I do advise people who are getting into it to be wary of it, and to not let your guard down. Because once you let your guard down in this business, in the security business, it can eat you up, and it can. But yeah, getting back to the history of my incident. I just did my job, carried on with things, and when that time happened on the 16th of March 2011, everything had changed completely. And I wasn't in a very good place. My true friends knew that I wasn't in a good place. But they knew I was strong. They knew I was strong. But I tell you, man, it put a major chink in my armour. And it really did, you know. It pushed me to the limits and beyond. And I know I've got PTSD. You know, I have accepted it now. At first I didn't. Because you think sometimes in life, nah, these things can't happen to you. But you shouldn't think that way. You shouldn't. Because every second of your life here on this planet, it's a question mark. And it is. And it really is a question mark. And then when this incident happened, I thought, now I know what it's like myself. Because you hear about other people who go for traumatic experiences, and some of these people, God bless them, they don't come back from it. It destroys them. And no matter what you say and do with some people when it happens to them, they don't come back. And I wish I could wave a magic wand to help these people so that they can get through it. But then you hear stories about people getting through their own personal traumas. But we are very unique people, you know. That's why I say to people, don't underestimate yourself. Don't. And don't dwell on it. And because I was dwelling on it, I have to admit, hands up, I was dwelling on it all the time. But it's good to talk about it, but in a positive way, not in a negative way. Because if